Hello and welcome to another Proko live stream. Today we're joined by Josh Black, a fantastic artist that you guys have seen across Proko videos before. Josh's specialty, I think, is a little bit different than some of the other people that we've had for our Black Friday streams so far. But like I said, it's Black Friday stream. That's why we're doing this whole thing. Josh has a fantastic course. Well, it's a collection of courses, right, Josh?
Yes, it's the Anatomy Survival Kit on Proko.
Yeah, it'll get you through all of your anatomy woes. It's a good one. It's 20% off like everything else across the whole website right now. You guys can use the coupon code. That's the link right there to find Josh's course. There'll be a link in the description where you guys can find out more about that, look at some of the information of the course, things like that. And you could save 20% off like that little banner down there says. Today's stream is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be reading the comments quite so much. There will be someone answering the questions in the chat a little bit here and there, giving you guys some links and supporting information. But by and large, Josh and I are going to be hanging out and just talking about stuff as he works on it. So, Josh, what will you be sharing with us today?
So today, I was thinking we could focus on some portrait gestures. And I gathered some reference from Proko.com.
20% off right now?
Yeah, it's good stuff. So yeah, I have several of these. I thought we could just do some quick gestures. I could show my process and just share some tips. And
that sounds good to me. For this one, is this one of the references that's available with the free images?
Half of these are actually from the free images on the website, and then I think the other half you'd have to pay for.
Okay.
But again, 20% off. So.
Yeah. In case you guys don't know, we don't just charge you money for everything on Proko. There is a whole set of free images that you can use with our timer tool. There's some free courses, free lessons from courses rather, that you guys can access at proko.com/free and proko.com/timer respectively. So yeah, like you were saying, some of the images that you have in here are those that you can get in some of those free resources if you don't have money to spend on stuff, because I certainly don't. This is a very avant-garde new wave of art face likeness that you're doing for this man.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is my Picasso approach. Although I do have some 3D shapes in there, so I should stop doing that. Right now I'm just warming up.
Is a warm-up a thing that you do at the beginning of each drawing session?
Every time. I can't survive without my warm-up.
What does your warm-up normally consist of? So you had some some spheres, looks like a couple of ellipses, some 3D forms.
Yeah, usually I just start off with just drawing basic primitive shapes, just circles, triangles, squares, just filling up pages. And what it does is it just warms up my wrist, helps build up my hand-eye coordination and just my overall confidence before I dive into gesture drawing, figure drawing, or more complex subject matter.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I think warm-ups are often a thing that people kind of push to the wayside because it's like, oh, I don't get to draw that much, so I'm gonna have 20 minutes right now, so I'm just gonna jump right into drawing. And I think that's a pretty straightforward way to have your first drawing that you make that day not work out great.
Oh yeah, no, every time I don't warm up, usually my lines are a little more shaky. I'm actually quite a bit slower with my drawings. So I think it always pays off to at least do just a few minutes of warm-ups.
Yeah, like imagine the idea of you're gonna wake up in the morning and the first thing that you have to do immediately out of bed is go run a marathon. Like, it's a bad idea.
Oh yeah, especially if you already have joint problems like I do. Just not a good idea.
It sounded like you said that from a place of experience, Josh.
Oh yeah, no, there's no lies there. I'm an old man, the advanced age of 40. Yeah.
And that's why you can trust Josh to teach you art. He's put in the time, guys.
Yes, I have the experience, age, and wisdom,
Mhm.
and all
Uh,
the sore joints.
looks like you're combining some shapes right now into some 3D figures.
Yeah, so once I do a series of just like flat shapes and lines, then I try to um, just block in some three-dimensional volumetric shapes
Mhm.
with fleshing out kind of a rough wire frame on those shapes. And what that does is it just helps get my mindset to transition from 2D to 3D and to see the canvas more as a three-dimensional space, which is really important. I think with drawing representational art. So we can go ahead and dive into these portraits. I don't want to waste all your time with just warm-ups, but again, I think they're very helpful. Oh no, did we lose Stephen? I think we lost him. Well, we'll just go ahead and start off with this guy here. So my approach is pretty similar to Andrew Loomis's approach. I just start off with a simple sphere to kind of block in the mass of the cranium. And then I'll just shave off the side of that sphere, kind of block in the placement of the side of the head and of the ear. And you can see I'm just starting with a very soft, light line as I'm doing this block in. And there's definitely some perspective to this head. You can see there's a little bit of a head tilt. His head's tilting down just ever so slightly. So when you're doing this initial construction, that's one of the more important things to establish is the tilt and perspective of the head. And now that I have the cranium and kind of the T of the face, I'm going to go ahead and block in the jaw, the mass of the jaw. And now I can more easily establish the gesture of the neck. Yeah, hopefully we can we can get Steve back. But hopefully I can be entertaining enough for everyone.
I think I'm back.
Oh, awesome. Oh, thank
Yeah,
the
sorry.
heavens. Thank the
Yeah,
heavens.
it turns out I can't do more than one thing at once on this particular setup that we have right now. So you were saying this is your process for beginning a drawing.
Yes. Yeah, I was just sharing. It's very similar to Andrew Loomis's approach.
Mhm.
Just block out the cranial mass with a sphere, and then we kind of establish the perspective of the side of the head, block in placement of the ear, and then from there we can kind of get the tilt of the eyes, establish the T of the face, which will help us align all the features, and then from there we pulled out the gesture of the neck.
Now, when you start a process like this, are you typically going for actual like likeness, or is it more just like a general study kind of feel?
It depends on how much time I have.
That's fair.
When it's more of a gesture, I want to focus more on just creating a believable sense of form and dimension,
Hmm.
and having it feel more kind of lifelike. It's not as important to me with a limited amount of time to get a perfect likeness.
That's fair.
But if I'm doing something that's like an hour or more, I'll definitely shoot for a likeness.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think every once in a while there's a time when we'll be doing some sort of live stream, which, to be very honest with anyone watching, is very different from a person who's drawing for like a like some sort of job that they have to do, or even for your own pleasure. Typically, when you're doing a live stream, obviously you have less time. You're talking during it. You do some sort of mark to kind of like discuss a certain aspect of how you're like what your approach is or how you do something. And so it's not usually actually indicative of how you normally draw. So it's an interesting conundrum to have this thing where you're supposed to demonstrate and talk about what you do, and it's not really what you do.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you're doing a live stream, your mind is in lots of different places,
Hmm. I
lots
think
of distractions.
there are some people who live stream really often, and so you kind of just like take what you get with each demonstration or actual piece that they're doing. So you gain something new every single time. There are some instructors that we've worked with in the past, like for Ben Eblin. He streams really often, and he's just working as he would normally work, and so he'll end up having some like 4 hour stream or something. And it's not like a necessarily information rich kind of demonstration purpose. You just happen to be there while he draws. But yeah, just to like, I just want to like say that to explain any sort of thing where someone's like, but this thing is too thin and the proportion here is off. Like, it's different.
Well, I appreciate the um,
Just a little caveat.
yeah, protecting me from all the haters out there that might be watching right now.
It's okay. We're not even reading comments right now. So hey, someone could be like banging on the window, yelling at us, "This sucks," and we won't even know. uh,
I think I prefer it that way. That's
you like the not having the comments?
no, actually, I feel bad, but um, it is nice to have one less thing to worry about.
That's fair. So you've done a few more things here. Do you usually, if you're making a drawing like this, that's a study that you're doing for your own edification, do you normally go through and add in values like you have for the hair here?
Yeah, sometimes I'll just do like a simple value wash to block out the shape of the hair.
Hmm.
And I'm not really worried about dimension or form at this time. I'm just doing kind of that two-dimensional shape of the hair.
Hmm.
And just to kind of like separate those shapes, I'll do a simple wash, but I'll go back later and um, start modeling and fleshing out the dimension of the hair.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting the different things that people prioritize at different stages of what is essentially a block in. Some people find it really important to actually have, like you said, that kind of like little value wash over an area, while others are just, no, it's like strictly lines. I'm not going to touch any value until I've put all my lines in place.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that strict. I think I kind of approach it um, with at lots of different angles when I'm
Hmm.
drawing. Because sometimes like line will be easier for me to understand and grasp a shape at a certain moment, and then another moment like value will be easier for me to understand
Hmm.
with the subject matter I'm currently working with. So it really just kind of changes. So I wouldn't say I always have a certain rigid formula that I go to every single time I draw. It
Yeah,
definitely changes.
I think it's frankly that's a thing that comes up a lot for people who are watching art instruction videos or ask us something in comments somewhere across any network, they always ask like, what is the best technique or like the best measuring technique or something like that. And it's not really one approach. Like typically you're going to have like a few different tools that you use in your tool set and you deploy them at different times when you need them, you know?
Oh yeah, and I find that's especially true when I'm doing concept art. Uh,
Mm,
so I'm a senior concept artist with Stoke Games, and um, there are days when doing like a line drawing to explore a concept will be easier for me, and then there's other days where actually doing a painting um, will be easier for me that day to explore shapes and explore planes, and um, so it really, it just depends. To me,
yeah.
I like to know that there's different ways I can approach something, because
Hmm.
sometimes attacking something at a different angle will actually unlock kind of a new set of ideas
Yeah,
potentially.
absolutely. So there's the two different questions I want to ask here. The first one that I think we'll return to will be one I want to hear more about what it is that you do for the people who might not know who you are in the best way, despite all of the content that we've done with you on this channel so far. But no, I'm curious for those who haven't seen your work more often, that like there are these markers that you'll include in the actual piece itself that are a little more overt than other people include them. So you have this direction line with this ellipse around the brow line. Um, for someone who might not know, why is that here, and when will and when won't you include that in what is quote unquote the final piece?
Oh, so you're referring to this little wrapping line here.
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, that's just to kind of accentuate the perspective, the tilt of the head. Um, if I were to kind of simplify the face into a cylinder, and then that was like the eye line right there, I'm
Mhm.
just kind of accentuating that tilt. And if the head was, tilted upward, then I would accentuate that kind of eye line or brow line just by showing that kind of half ellipse that wraps around.
Mhm.
And I like it um, because I feel it adds some nice energy to the drawing, but it also just helps you visually describe the perspective.
Mhm. Yeah. Is it one that you started initially including as an indication for the rest of the drawing, and then you just kind of liked it being there, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And it's something I think I learned from Chad Barksdale.
Okay.
He's a local artist in Utah. I took his figure drawing classes at BYU when I was in college, and um, him and his dad, uh, they have this beautiful approach to gesture, and they're always trying to accentuate kind of the wrapping tones and ellipses in their figures. And
Hmm.
I always enjoyed that aspect of their drawing. So I think I definitely borrowed that from them.
Hmm. What do you do when you're working on the piece for work for your job and you can't include these things that you like including?
Oh, well, um, usually that's just when you have to render something and really clean it up, and be 100% sure on kind of the shapes that you're wanting.
Hmm.
And that's always a difficult process, honestly. I think for any concept artist, when you go from like a rough, loose concept to a fully rendered, uh, finalized concept,
Hmm.
because you really have to at that point decide exactly what shape you want and what value you want.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of different things that people can kind of, as a person who's working doing art professionally every day, I think that there's this challenge that you kind of have to face where you do this one thing, and so you really build up this mode that you can get into to do the thing that you do for work, and then having to change that, whether it's for personal work or doing a different part of the process. I think it can be hard to break out of. Is it something that you've had to deal with trying to make stuff for yourself?
I'm sorry. Could you say that one
Oh,
more
no,
time?
no, you're good. Do you find yourself having a hard time kind of like switching modes from what you do for work versus what you do for yourself?
Um, I do both so often that I wouldn't say there's really an issue there. I think they
Okay.
complement each other.
Okay. This is good. Yeah. You hear that, guys? It's not the end of the world if you do something that's a little different for work than what you do in your personal life. It's totally okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're putting in the hours on both of those approaches, then you'll be fine.
Hmm. Is there anything that you'd want to tell people that you think is really important for getting to this stage in a drawing for you, for how your approach works?
So when you're doing this more gestural approach, I mean, honestly, especially for beginners, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to take a lot of practice and time to kind of get these more confident, decisive lines.
Hmm.
So just have patience with yourself and don't be afraid to start over and um, kind of redraw things over and over again.
Mm.
Um, because yeah, this is from years of experience and um, like you guys are watching me draw this right now at this very moment, but this is like from drawing lots and lots of heads. Uh,
Hmm.
so you can't just watch a tutorial and be like, oh, okay, now that I've watched his process, now I'm going to be able to draw it just like this. Like
Yeah.
that's not how it works. Like you're learning, you're maybe at best cleaning, a few processes and techniques that you can try to incorporate, but it's going to take some time to like really see that come through with your work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard to like I can watch someone play basketball so incredibly effectively, and it's not like I'm gonna be like, ah, yes, that is how Steph Curry does this.
Yeah, exactly. We just have to, it's really hard to be patient with yourself.
Mhm,
And I think especially now with everything being online, we're constantly looking at other artists and getting this kind of illusion of um, how easy it is for other artists, and we kind of
mhm,
think we should be at that same level. Um, but yeah, we just have to realize it takes a lot of practice.
mhm. There is one thing that I do think that even outside of taking someone's course or something where they really codify what their process is, they structure it and give it to you piece by piece, so it makes it easier for you to actually integrate. One thing that I think in all of the stuff that we do at Proko that I found that makes or that people can apply to their own work without some big knowledge or practice is that a lot of people that you watch draw or paint or anything where it looks like they just do magic and they nail it in the first take every single time, it's not that, and it's not even the idea that they've put in there, the 10,000 hours and stuff. There is another element to that where they've just learned for themselves how to incorporate and work around a misplaced line or something like that, um, like just being able to work with what you did make and nudge that into what you need for the final piece is like, because I think that's indicative, or that's also in your work as well. Like I think that I've seen you draw something not necessarily like this one line, and it's not like you're just doing that undo redo for every single stroke, like I do think that you work fairly straight ahead at times.
Yeah, no, it varies quite a bit. Um, And I think it's also because I've learned from so many different artists over time that
Hmm.
I'm probably synthesizing like 15 different approaches in my own style and approach.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, there's like different moments where I'm like thinking of incorporating things that I've learned from one specific artist, and then like a moment later, I'll be like, oh wait, this is how this other artist did it. Um, so that probably explains why it's a bit sporadic too, because
Mm.
it's. But I think it's really helpful to learn from various artists, and you can kind of pick and choose, what techniques you like the most, and
Mhm.
that you feel the most comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, have I told you that I had a realization recently that your name sounds like an anime?
What?
Yeah,
No.
I think yeah, your name. Uh, it would be a character who hunts Joshes, so it's Josh Hunter Black
Oh
instead
my
of like
god.
Josh Hunter Black.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, like a demon, like Demon Hunter Black, but you hunt exclusively Joshes.
That's awesome. Man, I suddenly feel like everything I do needs to be a lot more epic.
It's all gonna have real like berserk energy. But yeah, I realized this, and so I was jokingly gonna make this logo that was gonna be your name as an anime logo, because it's like my favorite thing to do to make a joke and then make the logo for that thing, because it never doesn't crack me up.
Yeah, no, if I'm worthy of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, are you kidding me? A person with the reviews and like YouTube comments and stuff that you have, of course you are. Uh, we haven't we haven't gotten to talk since the last time that we did a live stream with you, but there's this one person that every time you post something on Twitter, I see them just reply with "Thank you." Have you seen this? Have you
Uh,
clocked this?
you, on Twitter, I need to get a lot better at looking at the comments. I'm good
Uh-huh.
at seeing comments on Instagram. I guess I'm pretty new to Twitter,
I got you.
so I need to. I feel bad. I really appreciate that though.
It's just every time you post a piece of art. You guys can go look if you want. Josh's name on Twitter is Sakamolo, Saqomolo. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
But yeah, you guys can go look at the comments on there, or replies rather, and just yeah, every time you post something, this one person replies with "Thank you," so sincerely. It's my favorite thing.
Hey, a little bit of gratitude goes a long way. It means a lot.
Mhm.
Just a
Uh,
simple thank you.
so far, it looks like you're starting with kind of like an envelope for the hair.
Yeah. So when I'm approaching the hair, usually I break it up with just straights, just to kind of get the overall shape of the hair.
Hmm.
And part of her hair's cropped off. Oh, there it is. Wasn't fully cropped off. So I think it's easier when you're establishing the construction, like just to block it out with simple straights, and then from there you can kind of go in and uh, define the secondary and tertiary shapes with, more curvilinear lines.
Hmm.
But when you have that as a starting point, it makes it a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think people so often make something really complicated on themselves at the start of a drawing. And there's that kind of like eternal adage of working big to small, and it works. There's a reason people say it.
Oh yeah. Um, Especially working from simple to complex.
Hmm.
I think I heard that from every single artist that I learned from over the years. Like that's always kind of the main thing is
I think it's
start off with the broad strokes.
And for hair like this, where it would be very easy to get lost in details, do you dive in on the details when you're doing sort of more like a more of a study, or do you kind of pull back?
Um, again, sometimes I mean, right there, you saw I was going in and
Hmm.
just drawing in those like little curls right there.
Hmm.
Um, usually I reserve that for later, but occasionally I just can't help myself and I gotta throw a little detail in there.
I think it's fair because every once in a while you need a little treat like that, you know.
Yeah, it's just a little treat to keep me going.
Hmm. What would you say are the important parts of this particular face for you to make sure that you're giving the right impression of the reference? Whether it's like a curve of something or if it's just a placement, what would you say?
I mean, as always, especially when you're doing profiles, it's always important, but you want to make sure you're drawing those eyelids um, with their own volume and thickness, and have that appear to be wrapping around the sphere of the eye. Um, so right here, I have the pupil here, and then there's that thickness of the lower eyelid that comes out, and especially when you're doing these profiles, you got to make sure you get that thickness, or it'll feel very flat.
Hmm. Where do you think it is that people go wrong when they try to do this and they kind of miss the mark?
Um, Probably the most common thing is they're just not feeling the volume of the eyeball, the underlying structure, so they don't know how to build on top of um, something they're not quite understanding. Because you have to, I mean, you're not seeing her eyeball. You have to be able to conceptualize that more in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh my gosh, as I'm saying this, I'm definitely a little off here. All right, let's see. Gonna have to move the jaw down. Oops.
It is interesting. One thing I've not seen you do so far is flip the canvas.
Oh, yes, that is definitely useful and can be terrifying at times, especially on a live stream.
Yeah, you flip it and you go, oh my god, everything here is trash.
Oh, the internet's. I'm losing connection here. I'm just kidding.
That would be like, oh yeah, no, I've got to head out, guys. Yeah, I guess that's probably why my proportions were skewed. It's my internet.
Yeah. Thanks for staying as long as you did.
Yeah, and are there checks like that that you do, like so flipping your canvas? Do you often throw something into black and white to check the values? Would you say are your normal things?
So one thing I usually do, um, especially when I'm drawing digitally, which I do a lot as a concept artist, um, I like to copy. So I'm using Photoshop and I'm drawing on a Wacom stylus, and I will go to Window, Arrange, and then go down here to New Window, and it'll create a duplicate of the window I'm working in, and then I can drag that
Uh-huh.
on. I have 3 monitors right now, um, and I'll drag this duplicate window to one of my other screens, and that way it's kind of like flipping the canvas, and looking at it at a different angle or a different size.
Hmm.
Um, and it's similar to using a navigator. A lot of people using Photoshop will pull up a little navigator, which will be like a little thumbnail size of the image. So they're looking at the composition as a whole. Um, but yeah, I'll do that with the copy of the file of the window, and just
Hmm.
put that on one of my other screens. Um, and that way I can kind of like visually check the construction, the overall shape and composition. And then yeah, flipping too is really helpful. Like I could do that here.
Now, I do like the idea of having just that one window somewhere else because it does, I think, give you at least a little bit of that objective distance from what it is that you're making to help you see that, to see any errors. Uh, so, Josh, I was able to bring up some YouTube comments here.
Oh, great.
Would you like me to try to get some of these comments or any questions or anything?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry. John responded as Proko saying, "Just a reminder. Unfortunately, Josh isn't able to take questions during the stream. Sorry to change that and make that comment not true anymore, John." Uh, so Raul Riot says, "Flipping the canvas sometimes is terrifying." Absolutely, you're right, dude.
Oh yeah, especially when you're doing a live stream. I don't recommend it. It's one of those
Yeah,
things you do in secret when nobody's watching. You flip that canvas.
yeah. Like, and you don't have to deal with someone else seeing you do it and then coming into like those mistakes.
Uh-huh.
Or see you be like a filthy being like a filthy like lasso and then control T person. That fixed it.
Oh yeah, yeah. You wanna keep all those things hidden from
Yeah,
the public eye.
yeah. No one should get to see you at your worst.
No, no, never.
Uh, Emily in the chat says flipping the canvas makes me cry.
Oh, the worst is when you're doing an environment and you forget to flip frequently, and then you do that like after a couple hours of working on it, and then you flip it, and you're like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
what am I doing here?"
it can be a bear sometimes, but again, the alternative to flipping it or trying to like check yourself in this kind of way is just having all of those errors instead live in the final piece. So it's good to do.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, the sooner the better.
Mm-hmm. Um, we have a couple questions here. I think one of these is pretty good. Uh, well, they're both good in different ways. I should say. I don't want to say anyone has a bad question right now. Um, so we have. Uh, sorry, the text is so small on this iPad, guys. Shakern is asking, I have both CSP and Photoshop. Which one should I use? I'm new. Josh, have you used Clip Studio Paint before?
I have not, no.
Okay.
I've used Procreate a little bit, um, but I am 99% of the time on Photoshop.
Mm,
So,
okay.
yeah.
I, for what it's worth, Shakern, I think that it's a matter of what you're going to be doing. You said that you're new, so I think you can use whatever you want right now. There's nothing limiting you in any way for which program you should use. There's not going to be probably big benefits or negatives to either of those at this stage, also, unless you're a person who has a lot of experience, making traditional art. Then you might have a preference about which one has a more realistic feel. But by and large, it's going to be a matter of what your end goal is. CSP is one that people use because the brush engine feels really good. You can have vector-based lines. But if those words don't mean anything to you, just use whatever's handy. And let's see, the other one here that we had was, did you guys watch Arcane? Would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the art direction. Josh, you seem like a person who is very busy. You have children. Have you watched Arcane? And if you did, is it both seasons or just one?
You're correct. I am very busy. I have my kids that are they're 3 and 5, and any moment in between drawing is usually spent with my kids or just helping out around the house. I have not seen Arcane yet. I
At all.
That is
Not even a little bit of
definitely.
the first one.
I did watch a little bit of the first one, and I love the
Okay.
art direction. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that is on my list of things that I must do.
Okay.
Is
All right. So
go through those seasons.
And I think you guys, we have a thing that you guys can help out with here. So clearly, Josh is very busy, so he can't go and watch Arcane, which pretty much everyone in this chat, I would imagine, is a big fan of. It's a very good show with gorgeous art direction, as they said. So Josh needs free time. And you know what usually takes up your time? Having to earn money. If you guys buy Josh's course, that's 20% off on Proko right now, at proko.com/Josh Black, you can help Josh have more free time to watch Arcane. Please help this man watch TV.
Yes, it's a worthy cause. And
Yeah.
I have children too. I mean, there's mouths to feed, you know, multiple good causes here.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, Josh's course is very good. It's something that he worked on, and he took some things from different courses that he's sold on his own storefront before, and he kind of like crunched those down and made them into something that is this really synced package that'll give you a bunch all in one go, rather than you having to go through, you know, the entirety of more lessons, kind of. Um, it's very good. If you like anything that you're seeing on the stream so far, chances are you're going to like the lessons where he actually gets to discuss the actual educational side of it, more than just watching him be a wizard with a pencil. But yeah, I highly encourage you guys to check that one out. Or something else from another instructor, like Josh said, taking many people's approaches and kind of condensing those into your own approach is very good. Also, thank you, John, for putting that text on screen during that. I really appreciate that. Let me see about some more questions here. Can I show it? Oh, this this brings up a good question. So GK said or asked, why does flipping the canvas show us our mistakes? I'm assuming they're not saying it in the way of like, why does it show us our mistakes? And they're asking the actual reason, like, what does this show us? Josh, what would you say is what you gain from flipping your canvas?
Well, it for the most part, it really shows you how poorly you constructed whatever it is you're drawing. That, like, when you're drawing a figure or anything that has a level of symmetry to it, like especially drawing a face, or drawing a car or a building, that when you flip it, it'll kind of help you see it with fresh eyes at a different perspective, and you can kind of see if some of your construction is off, and if you're actually not hitting that symmetry in the face. Perhaps like your mouth line and eye line are a little more pinched on one side, more so than you intended. But because you were accustomed to seeing it in that one perspective, you didn't catch that. So the moment you change the perspective, suddenly you kind of, those mistakes kind of pop out more, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely very, very helpful to do.
It's kind of like I don't know if anyone here has ever gone to like open a video chat or something with somebody else, and suddenly your camera feed isn't mirrored, so it's not what you're used to seeing when you look into the mirror, and you notice something entirely different when like the part of your hair is on the other side from what you expect. You know, you just get this like fresh look at this visual that you've been looking at, and you get to appraise it with new eyes. Essentially, it really helps. There was another question here. This is one that does come up a lot. This was Creepifuros. I love the brush that Josh is using, but I feel like this question has already been asked. Josh, what is this brush? Where can people get it?
This is my soft sketch brush, and you can find it on the Proko Survival Anatomy Kit. And you can also find it on Gumroad, where I sell brush packs. But I include all the brushes, all of my favorite brushes, in the survival pack that I sell on Gumroad, including this one. But this
It's
is
a good
definitely,
one.
yeah, I love this one. It's great for sketching. One thing I really like about it is you you can go from like really light, soft lines to dark, crisp, thin lines. One side has a sharp edge and the other side has a softer edge. So just right out the gate, you already have more variation in your line, which definitely helps create more visual interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good one. It feels very naturalistic as well, which I definitely always appreciate in a brush. Let's see what else we've got here. More conversation about Arcane, which I appreciate. So this one, I actually have a specific answer. Noku Kanya asked, "What is the equivalent of flipping the canvas when working traditionally? What ways can you identify mistakes in your artwork when you work traditionally?" Josh, do you have a particular approach that you've used for this when you're working traditionally?
Yeah, one thing I would do a lot when I was drawing, when I was taking figure drawing classes and drawing live models, and I was drawing on an easel, I'd always get up off my easel and step back like 20 feet if I could, and look at my piece from a distance, or even flipping your whole paper upside down and looking at it upside down can also help you see those mistakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that a lot. I burned a lot of calories getting up and off my donkey.
Yeah, getting off your desk to go look at your piece from afar.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a common one, is the idea of getting distance, which also works in digital. Like you can just zoom that thing out really small, and it gives you the idea of what the person who views it, not as the artist who's been like in those details, how they'll perceive it. So you get objective distance on it in a couple different ways. The other one that has come up from instructor, comic book artist Daniel Warren Johnson in our Marvel course, who we just released a free lesson with yesterday on the channel. He does this thing because he's working on typically like Bristol board, which is just this absolute white paper, and then working in ink, an absolute black typically. He'll do this thing where he takes his phone, Josh, and he like puts his phone at this like 45-degree angle, and he looks into it and uses his phone screen reflection, looking down on the piece like a periscope, to see the piece as a mirrored image.
Oh wow.
I've never seen anyone do that before. But yeah,
Huh.
so essentially what that would look like for anyone who can see my camera right now, he just looks into it, looks at his phone in his hand, and then you get a flipped image.
And I'm gonna have to try that out.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I appreciate someone having something where they do like an atypical process with a tool you always have on hand. Let's see what else we have. Actually, you know what? I was curious about in the piece that you had just done, the one that you shrunk with the lady with the big hair.
Mm-hmm.
When you were rendering the hair, I think rendering hair comes up a lot. What is your approach to choosing what is important and not important to show in shadows and details? Like how do you simplify this?
I think for me, it's like the areas of highest contrast, or where my eye detects that there's the sharpest edges. Usually that's where I'm going to add kind of the most detail and dark lines. And then areas that the detail seems to be diminished, and the edges or the values kind of blend in with the surrounding values and edges, then I just kind of leave the detail less defined.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that one. For that piece, because I mean, personally, I really like that one. Is there anything that you were really pleased with in like either rendering the likeness or just stylizing and idealizing in a way that you enjoy?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm dying here. I think the fun thing is once you go through the disciplined part of the drawing where you're just blocking in the main shapes and then going back in and, adding those like little squigglies and detailed shapes and lines. Like you can be just a little more haphazard about that, since their placement is more or less where they should be, and that can create some fun energy in the sketch.
Okay.
But it's a lot easier to do that once you have an underlying structure to build on.
Okay. No, yeah, I think it's a very good point. Yeah, I think one of the hardest things for people is like learning what to take and apply of the people who they're watching teach, the things they like of their work and applying it to their own process. So, and I think that's one that can work for different people who have different visual styles, and just knowing why the person does that. I think it's always nice to get to know. Let's see here. It's so much different reading the comments on this iPad, guys. For anyone who's been at the other live streams that we've had more recently, we had these like little like internet hiccups here and there as people were working on our server and our internet connection, which was just incredibly well timed with us doing a bunch of live streams. It's just how it always works. It's wild. But now, today, there's just literally no internet in the office today. So I'm here on my phone with my Bluetooth headphones and then the iPad to read comments. It's very different. Let's see what else we have here. Splatter Does Stuff asks, I know how to draw eyes, noses, and mouths, but I don't know how to put them together. Any tips?
So what I'm doing right now is kind of the steps that you should take before you go in and indulge yourself with just drawing one of the eyes or just the nose. I'm establishing where all the features will be placed on the face in relationship to each other. And I'm going in with a lighter line. So when I go over it with the more defined details, I know it's going to be in the right location. So really, to answer your question, you have to focus on doing the basic construction first, and making sure that you have, like your T line that shows you where the eye line would be and the vertical line on which all of your features will be placed. And then matching the base of the nose with the base of the ear, and then like 1/3 the way down from the base of the nose to the base of the chin, you have where like the lips would be, and you just do these like little dashes to indicate where they're going to be before you go in and really start defining the shape of, either the eyes, the nose, or the mouth, if that makes sense.
No, very much so. Yeah, because like the person said, they know how to draw a nose, they know how to draw some eyes. The thing is, it sounds like you don't know how to draw a face yet. Like you just gotta zoom out and lay in the full thing first before you get to those juicy details that you like so much. Because we all want to get to the details.
Yep.
Yes. Alperi Art says, I stopped watching a very important video on how to prepare for nuclear apocalypse to come watch this. So take that as a compliment.
Oh, wow. Well, hopefully you'll just be incorporating this knowledge and not the knowledge from that previous video.
I think, Alperi, you should watch both of these videos because there's a strong chance if, the nuclear apocalypse does happen, you might be the person who now has to teach all of the new generation of like mutant children how to draw. That might be up to you. So remember everything that Josh has said here because it's important.
That's right.
Let's see what else we've got. SunVR in the chat says it's called the Loomis method if you want to research it away from this video. Yeah, so Josh was saying earlier that he starts with something that's kind of like it's really similar to the Loomis method. It's not like a bespoke, full, exact thing. Everyone has a variation of the Loomis method that they use because just everyone has a slightly different thing that they need to take from the information in the layout. But yeah, if you guys want to learn more about that, that's actually how Proko got started, is talking about the Loomis method. It's the very first Proko video. I highly recommend it. Let's see. I want to have you talk more as you first establish a drawing. I love the comments here, but I want people to actually get some educational material out of this one. What are you doing and why?
Well, right now, kind of proving why it's important to establish the construction before you go into detail at the eyes.
Did you have to backtrack in here?
I did, yeah. Yep. The left eye was too high up, so I had to just erase and start.
And what was it that told you? What was it that told you that the eye was too high?
The construction lines. I was like,
Okay.
oh my gosh. So one thing I like to do that really helps with getting the eyes blocked in is I try to connect the gesture line, having that little crease line on the upper eyelid, kind of doing a gestural line to have those flow into each other. If they're flowing into each other, then you're pretty good, and then you can kind of do a straight line, just to kind of give you the ballpark placement of the bottom eyelids. And then from there, you can start breaking up the shapes of the eyes, knowing that they're more or less where they should be.
Mm-hmm. I think that like everyone has these, like every artist that we talk to has different things they look for, you know, the thing that they prefer as kind of an anchor. There's some general ones, like everyone looks for the clavicles, you know, the hip bones and stuff. But other things, it's always interesting to hear what people find is the most useful for them. And then someone asked in the chat, they said, she is so cute, by the way, who is she? This is some model from a reference pack. I'm not sure who this particular one comes from in the reference packs that are on the store on Proko. I don't believe this is one of the free ones that you can get with the Proko timer tool at proko.com/timer. But if you guys are interested in any reference packs or anything like that, everything is 20% off on the website right now. That includes those reference packs, Josh's courses, and anything else that you're looking for. There are also some tools and things, some brush packs and stuff. If you guys are some filthy brush lovers, everyone likes a brush. Let's see what else we have here. Fun Gun Spyro ask, or Fun Gun Spro? I'm not gonna try. They asked if you've experimented with or had success with the Riley method.
I can't say I'm too familiar with the Riley method.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a different method of construction and kind of like laying in proportions and things like that. They seem to be the two most often talked about ones, is just Loomis and Riley. They're kind of different brain modes. For anyone in the chat who is curious and trying to look up and try to figure out what it is that they should start with for construction, they have some similarities and everything, but it really seems to be like, it seems that it comes down to the idea of how you think about something. They just have some key differences that seem to hit different types of people in different ways. You know, it's not like that one is way better than the other. I hope that helps anyone out there. So the person whose name I had read, it's Fun Guns Pro. They said Fun Gun Spyro is a new one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go trademark it, and I'm gonna outsell you on the internet. I'm gonna win that SEO battle. And your name, when you go to type it on the internet, they'll go, "Did you mean Fun Gun Spyro?" And it'll be me. OM in the chat asks, "What is a timer tool?" If you guys go over to proko.com/timer, there's actually a free tool that Josh has used on streams, and I think even on your own videos and things. What would you say is the benefit to using a timer, or doing time drawing sessions, or just this Proko timer tool itself?
I personally love the timer tool because I can force myself to do quick gestures, like 30-second to 2-minute gestures, where I have to make a lot of big decisions quickly, and it forces me to like really simplify the figure and the anatomy down in order to get everything there on the page. And it's really hard to do that without a timer kind of holding you accountable. So I love the timer tool. It's really helpful for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's there's a lot of things that people try to find a way to do while you're learning online that you would normally get in like a traditional art school setting or going to a college or something like that. And one of the hardest things to do is to have these like life drawing sessions where frankly, a lot of people aren't looking to do a life drawing session during art school. Like they think that it's fine for them to just, draw like from a little bit of reference or whatever. And then that will still teach them everything. You can learn that way, but I think doing a life drawing session kind of forces you to get out of a comfort zone, of a way that a lot of us start to learn to draw. And one of those things is you doing a shorter drawing session, and you don't have a choice because the model is going to move to another pose for somebody else, and so getting to use a tool like the timer tool that we have, it's totally for free. You guys can add in reference packs that you bring with you or that you buy on Proko, or you can use the free included reference packs, which are plenty great. You don't need to have other reference packs in there if you don't want to. You can find that at proko.com/timer. Nice, easy link for those of you guys who are interested. Arun asked, hey, Josh, are you drawing on a drawing tablet or display?
This is a Wacom 24HD Cintiq that I'm drawing on. It's one of the older models. I think I've had this Cintiq now it's been like 12 years, I think. It's been a while.
Goodness.
But yeah, I still love it.
Yeah.
It feels very much like traditional sketching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, that's also the one that we use here in office for Stan. Stan uses an older Cintiq. We have a newer one, but he actually prefers the older one for what that's worth for anybody else. There was another here. I tapped on the wrong comment. I was trying to like save comments by tapping on them here. Oh goodness. There was a person. Oh, here we go. Toaster Williams asks, I really struggle with seeing geometry and shapes in pictures. I don't understand why the circle is where it is here. Is there anything I can do to get better at these super basics shapes in particular? So I think this is just a construction kind of thing. So yeah, I guess, Josh, could you take us through like the basic forms that you see when you first do like a initial construction and why you use them this way?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I can just draw on
Thank
top of this sketch to kind of show you how I do that. Sorry, I'm just finishing up this thought right here.
Yeah, you're good. I'm gonna. No. Yeah, I think it's a really common one for people to have problems with their initial construction, much less like knowing where all of these different construction lines and shapes and forms go, and why. It's really, really common, and people tend to get really caught up in this idea of like how big the ellipse on the side of the sphere of the head is if you're using something like the Loomis method. Usually it's a little more loose than you think when you're first learning it. There are plenty of people that I know that just kind of like block the thing in really loosely with a circle for the sphere, and then just kind of add this little triangle to the bottom of the sphere for the jaw. It doesn't have to be like a huge construction thing, you know. It doesn't have to be super technical. You don't need to do math.
Yeah.
That being said, what is your process?
So I'm going to show you, because when I first learned the Loomis method, I felt like I always messed up the brow line and the eye line, and that's really what made it hard for me to get all the measurements correct. Because the brow line in the Loomis method actually goes right down the middle of that sphere that you start off with for the cranium, and then the eye line is below that, and then here's your center line. Then from there you can pull in the jaw. And so the base of the nose, actually I prefer to block in the ears first. And then the base of the nose will match up with the base of the ears, and then a third of the way down you have the lips, then there's the chin, then I'll establish kind of the corners of the eyes. Oh, that's my daughter.
Like you said, this is why Josh can't watch Arcane, guys.
Hold on, Elena.
If you need to mute or anything like that to sort that out, that's okay.
Yeah,
I can answer a
let
couple
me.
questions here.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, you're good. So there's a good question here from Patrick, Proko team member Patrick, who I think I'll probably ask when Josh gets back. But let's see what else we've got here. So Rust Tattoo, you're asking if Josh studies more digital or traditional. Definitely digital. Yeah, if you guys are curious, Josh, he has videos that he posts really often on his own channel, and he posts consistently so much on his own Instagram and Twitter and everything. The studies that he does, whether that's like a warm up for starting his day for normal work stuff, or just something that he's doing for fun. Definitely digital though, even though they look pretty freaking traditional.
Yeah, and I do a lot of traditional sketching too. Usually I just use ballpoint pens and mechanical pencils. So it kind of has more of this linear feel. I don't use the charcoal and Conte like I used to. Anyway, going back to the construction. So with this 3/4, like this would be where the sphere would be for the initial block in. And then actually I would go further back. Let's see, that's about right there. And then you kind of cut off the side of it to find, that'll kind of establish the temporal line, which is a landmark you want to look for. And yeah, the next thing, oh my gosh, this is actually harder to go
to
back.
Reverse engineer.
Yeah, to reverse engineer. So let me try one more time. Sorry about that. So yeah, we have the circle, and then we have that side of the head, and then you have that you divide that side piece into 4s, and in that bottom right corner you block in the mass of the ear, and then you just pull the straight line down just a little bit to find the bottom of the jaw, and then you come forward, and this is the jaw shape that you can quickly establish.
The Josh shape.
Did I say that?
You said Josh shape. It just kind of comes together. It fits your name into it conveniently.
Yeah, that was I can claim the jaw shape as the jaw shape.
That's yours.
It's mine now. So the most important thing to me is getting the placement of the ear, finding the perspective line of the brow, and then knowing that it's the brow line that connects with the top of the ear. So it's not the eye line that matches the top of the ear, and that was a place where I would mess up a lot, and it took me a while to finally get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the base of the ear will line up with the base of the nose. But see how these sections are parallel to each other for the most part, and so checking how parallel those lines are to each other will help you check your construction to make sure the features are lined up properly. Because if you don't do that, and let's say the lip line is tilted down just a little bit more, and then you have this angle here, that's going to look really weird, and your drawing's going to start falling apart. So that's why it's nice to do this construction first with light lines, making sure that all these gestural lines for the features are lined up and parallel to each other before you go in and start fleshing out the features.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it also saves you work on the back end. Like imagine if you didn't do these things and you realize later after you put a bunch of time into doing some rendering or something, you have to move everything around, or if it's traditional, you have to erase all of that. Just respect your own time also, you know?
Yeah, and if you struggle with that, I suggest just doing exercises every day where you're just blocking in the basic three-dimensional shapes of the face without even drawing the features.
Hmm.
And again, it's not as exciting, but it'll definitely pay off in the long run. If you can, just block in the construction and mix it up. Like I would do construction drawings like this, where you're not finishing the drawing, you're just making sure everything's in the ballpark with your construction, and then reward yourself with some finished drawings.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a really good thing to do if you're struggling with construction, is maybe just finish the construction part of the drawing and then move on to another one. Don't force yourself to finish each drawing, and
Mm-hmm.
that'll give you more time practicing doing a lay-in. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a very good practice for sure. Um, like it's that you're like Mr. Miyagiing yourself, you know? Like this will apply later down the road, even if it doesn't feel like it during it. Uh, so Proko team member Patrick asked, what big decisions, rhythms, and landmarks do you go in for in a 30-second gesture? I find that time frame super difficult to get a usable gesture.
So I'm doing a quick gesture. So usually, let's see if I'll just start off with the head, and then I look for like the gesture of like one of the sternocleidomastoids as it feeds into the pit of the neck. And then the next big thing is finding the shoulder line and getting that gesture. And then I'll look for that primary line of action that goes down kind of from head to toe. And then from there, I can quickly block in, see the torso, and then, the arms. Usually we'll just do some very simple tapered lines that more than anything just show the overall direction and flow of the arms. And then the same thing with the legs. So for me, that's kind of like what I focus on at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's just those main lines of action. And then from there, I can go in and, really start kind of breaking things up more.
It's kind of like what you mentioned for. It's kind of like what you mentioned for the hair and other stuff earlier. It's like getting that first portion in to let you then focus on the smaller detailed parts.
Yeah, you just simple to complex every time.
There's one question here from Junior Jung. They asked, "Do you smoke weed before you draw?" As far as I know, Josh, both of us are the most straight edge of straight edge people.
Yeah, can't say I've ever done that before. I've never
Same.
given that a go.
Yeah.
Maybe unintentionally, I've maybe inhaled some
Like
marijuana
you're just
smoke.
around something.
Yeah, like I'm at a beach late at night and just happen to. So I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had that experience.
Yeah.
And
I,
it's
I
one of those.
yeah, the beach is a wild place. Maybe it'll happen there. Yeah, no, I'm with you on this one. I've never smoked weed, much less before I've drawn or made any other sort of art. But if that works for you, Junior Jung, go for it. Like that can be your thing. This is a good thing. If we don't, Josh, then that means that there's more weed for them, right?
That's right. So we're just being generous and not indulging.
Yeah,
We're
we're
thinking of
looking out
others.
for you. We're looking out for Junior. Interesting. Mark the Shark says some artists do say drawing from reference is bad because artists does use it as a crutch. What are your thoughts on that topic? Do you think that there's anything bad about drawing from reference, Josh?
No, not at all. I personally, I think it's really important to do both, draw from reference and then draw from your head. I think the practice of going back and forth between the two uh, really helps you build up your muscle, well, your muscle memory plus just your your visual memory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Dry spot in my throat that just keeps tickling. And
I think it's that you did in fact go smoke weed when you had to
yes,
walk off
okay,
for a
yeah,
moment there.
you got me.
Junior called it.
He knew. But yeah, going back and forth really builds up your visual memory and also your muscle memory for drawing those things. That's something I used to do a lot more of. Like I would, especially, I used to draw from maquettes and three-dimensional models that I can hold and turn around, draw from different angles. And then after I would do that, I would try drawing it from memory without looking at it. And I think that's a really helpful exercise. But like, especially when you're doing concept art, it is very important to use reference, especially when you're trying to come up with something that's very unique, that's telling a certain story, and you need, some authenticity to your design. Reference is extremely helpful. And a lot of times, I think veteran artists, they can tell when an artist is not using reference,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, yeah, this person's not doing any research at all, and they'll look at it negatively. So
like the guns are wonky. These pouch. That's not how a pouch would work. Something like that.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that there, like for about the thing for drawing from reference, there are some people who will say that they don't draw from reference. It's not something that works for them, for what their specific use case is. Oftentimes, there'll be something that someone says that applies in that context, that doesn't apply as like an overall rule for all of art, where I think people can take away the wrong idea from what people say about it. If there's someone out there who's saying that they actively don't draw from reference in some way, they're probably lacking some sort of fundamentals if they do mean this, or there's some specific thing they're trying to avoid that they're addressing in some other way. But rarely is it like foundationally bad to draw from reference, unless you're like limiting yourself in some way, you know? There's some other famous cases where Frank Frazetta was well known to say that he didn't draw from reference. We know that's not true in the time sense. We can see the pictures that he drew references or drew things from, you know, or painted from. I don't know why he chose to say that thing, but we actively know it's on their own website about Frank now, where they actively speak against this idea that he said while he was alive. Drawing from reference is pretty good. You don't have to do it every time, but it's helpful.
Wasn't he really into weightlifting and kind of bodybuilding, sculpting himself?
Yeah. Important. I mean, I get it. You want yourself to look like your art, or your art to look like you. You know, I get it.
Yeah, I just wonder if he lied a lot about his like PRs, his maxes, and he was lying about not using reference.
Yeah, I like the idea of this idea extending out to other things. That same little thing that made him lie about using reference, stretching out to other stuff, which is lifting.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, I had like 35 plates on that barbell, man. Let's see here. Jacob Black, person that I believe you know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar.
It's my twin brother.
He asked a very important question in here. He asked, who is your favorite Teletubby? Dipsy, Tinky Winky, Poe, or Lala?
Dipsy.
Interesting. Why is this your favorite?
Oh man, you know, there's something about his personality that I find commendable. I don't know.
I like the idea you were going with there. The freestyle that was good. I always forget the name of the different Teletubbies, but for my own thing, my favorite character from any chromatic team is a blue Power Ranger. I have no strong feelings about Teletubbies, but a blue Power Ranger, that's a good chromatic character right there. Let's see. OM in the chat is asking, is there a difference between a rhythm and a gesture drawing? I think it's a good question.
I don't think so. Rhythm, I think that's something that you're always wanting to establish early on in a gesture. But I mean, I would say just doing the rhythm lines is a type of gesture.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, you'll often hear them used kind of interchangeably. There are some differences that people can cite in the way that they use either rhythm or do a gesture drawing. But by and large, it's not going to make a big difference for most people, except when you're looking for actually rhythms, which we have a video about on Proko. If you just go over on YouTube, Stan talks a whole lot about rhythms, how to find them. There's even a free ebook on that if you guys are interested. That'll go way more in depth than I think I would even just in answering some question here on YouTube. It'll have a little more like a hard-coded rules about those things that I think you guys would be interested in. See that. I hate leaning down for this. Let's see. William Ing asks, hi all, quick question. Do you know PureRef? Easier way to check reference instead of a Photoshop window. I don't myself choose to use PureRef. Have you, Josh?
yeah, Yeah, I mostly use Miro boards,
Hmm.
to compile reference, but I used to do PureRef, and it was really nice because you could have a massive file with tons of reference images at the highest resolution, and you can zoom in as much as you wanted. So it is really helpful. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, lately mostly just use Miro board.
Hmm. There's also a very important question here from a few different people. Yet again, Josh, Cloudy Camera, OMG Arts. They're all asking about your brush, Josh. Where can people get that brush?
Oh, this is the soft sketch brush that you can find on my anatomy survival kit on Proko.
I'm hoping John is here to put the text up on screen. But yeah, over at proko.com/Josh Black, or the link in the description here, probably at the top of this chat as well. Um, you guys can find Josh's his courses. You guys can find the tools that are included with those courses, like this brush, and they're all 20% off right now because we have a Black Friday sale running for the whole rest of this month. Um, you can get reference packs if you want to draw with references like Josh does here. You guys can get brushes from other people if there's some reason that you want a brush for a different program than Josh offers. Maybe there's some great stuff from different people on Proko right now, and it's all much cheaper because I know everybody wants to save $1. I know I do. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, it's something that you guys can get as part of the course. So as you draw along with Josh, you're really drawing along with Josh. You can judge your lines against his line quality. That's all I got for you guys on that one.
Yeah, the secret sauce is always in the brush.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what any other artist tells you. Once you have the brush, you
Uh-huh.
will you wield the power.
That's really the thing that's being sold with Josh's course. It's just the brush, and we decided to tack some extra instructional videos onto it.
Yeah, pretty much.
uh, let's see here. Oh yeah, someone was asking if the video will be available after for this live stream. Yep. Just like all of the other live streams that we've done recently for this whole Black Friday sale, they'll all be cataloged here on the YouTube channel on that little live tab. There are a bunch of different people that we've had on stream already. We had Steven Zapata, Stephen Bauman, Stephen Michael Hampton, myself, Stephen, and then some other people who weren't named Stephen, like Josh Black here. We've had a lot. We've had a lot of people in live streams this past week. It's been really cool to get to do. So I think that there's one other thing that I think I should probably kind of tease for people who are here on YouTube right now. Each year in December, we do the 12 days of Proko. There's a little sale associated with this thing as well. It's not as much as the Black Friday sale. But on there, we put out a video every single one of those 12 days. So for this year, we're actually doing a bunch of sketchbook tours that we recorded in some different, I think that there are a couple that aren't from Lightbox, but the majority of these are from Lightbox. So for those of you guys who didn't get to go to Lightbox Expo, we brought it home with us, so you guys can check it out. Some of those there's James Gurney, Peter Hahn, a bunch of fantastic people in different fields of art, as well as people with different visual styles. So I think it'll be a really fun one. I think Patrick Bosworth here in the chat, he got to edit, I think, a couple of those, maybe just one. And I think he's definitely been edified by seeing all these different sketchbook tours. So I think you guys will enjoy them too. Let's see what else we've got. Annie made it 21 saying, "This is beautiful." I agree. Storyboard Ben is asking, can you ask Josh what he does if a drawing starts to feel too stiff? How does he loosen up or give more energy to a drawing?
Honestly, one thing. Let's see. I'm gonna flatten this. This is cheating, but I'm going to show you anyway. Sometimes, I'll have a sketch where like the construction, some of the lines are feeling a bit stiff. like I'm liking the sketch, but there's just enough off with it that I want to kind of redraw it. So I'll
Mm.
go ahead and just flatten the layer, and then I'll take down the opacity, and then I'll challenge myself to kind of redraw it. And now that I have everything pretty much more or less where it needs to be, I can focus more on the line quality and the energy of the line, and also how I'm designing the line. But I mean, the best thing you can do really is doing a lot of gesture and just drawing a lot, like every day. That's the key to getting more energy and confidence in your work. Unless you're just one of those lucky people that comes into this world
With all the energy.
as a prodigy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really common one, and I think it's a little bit at the heart of some of the things that you do, where you leave some of those like you have the angle indication with the ellipse and stuff. There's that looseness and the energy to a sketch that some people really enjoy. You know, I think it's at least a part of why you leave this in there, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, this is terrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry you're going through this one.
It's okay. I think I'm gonna make it, but yeah, like one thing that helps too is when I look at it from a distance, I can kind of see where there's not as much energy in the line, and I can kind of go back in. And throw in another line that has a little more energy to it.
I feel so badly you're dealing with this one. It's not fun during like while getting to like present something and try to give the information. Every
Yeah.
once in a while, I'll be reading some comment or something, and in the middle of it, I'll get a little catch in my throat.
You're just gonna hear me choke to death.
Patrick mentioned a couple other people who are included in that 12 Days of Proko, all the sketchbook tour videos that we'll have. We've also got Eliza Ivanova, Eliza, for those of you guys who just follow her online. Peter Hahn, we've got Lynn Nicholson, or Lynn Nicholas, Toya Gogo on Instagram and everything. James Gurney, if you fall. There's a bunch of people in this one. I think it's going to be a good 12 Days of Proko. Daily Doodle asked, "Oh my God, is he okay?" For right now, I think he is. We'll check back in a couple hours. We'll post on the YouTube community tab if Josh made it through the day.
Yeah, I think when the stream's over, I'm just gonna fall out of my chair and
To the floor.
to the floor. Yes.
There's a person here, EXO Forever Young Shawty Low, who asks, "What feeling do you need to feel to draw better?" Is there any sort of like energy that you bring into a drawing normally that you think that really benefits the drawing itself? Like, do you need to establish a mood?
Yeah, I think whenever you kind of feel the emotion of the person that you're sketching, or of the subject matter, that really helps. But I mean, the overarching emotion that helps most is when you feel when you're just feeling confident, you feel low amounts of stress, you're not doing a live stream, a bunch of people are watching you. That really helps. It just
Yeah, absolutely.
sets you up for success.
BTT in the chat asks, "How do I get out of teaching and into the concept art industry? I do environments, characters, creatures, and props, but can't seem to get any traction, and I'm stuck teaching." I think this is a pretty common question. What do you normally say to people about this?
Well, I think the most important thing I would say is knowing what you love doing as a concept artist, and and then deciding kind of what studio encapsulates that thing you have a passion for,
Mm.
and then maybe try to specifically aim to develop a portfolio that is for that studio. Or I think even just looking at professionals' portfolios and trying to emulate how they lay out their portfolios and seeing like how much work they put in there, like that's the benchmark,
Mm.
and that's what you're competing with. You're competing with these professionals, and so the more you can like look at their work and then look at yours at a personal level and be like, oh, it's lacking in this area here, and being honest with yourself.
Mhm.
And then also asking others for critiques, and when you can, try to show your portfolio um, to other professional concept artists and get their opinion is
Mhm.
very, very helpful.
How would you say it, like, is there a certain website that's the easiest to check out people's portfolios on?
Um, I don't know. It seems like a lot of the Discord channels are very helpful.
Mm.
Where you have groups of artists that share art with each other. It's more likely you'll get responses. It's hard because a
Okay.
lot of professional artists are very busy, and
Oh, you mean
if
for getting direct, like, actual feedback rather than just seeing their portfolios?
okay, you're asking like where's a good place to see professional portfolios?
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, both of those questions.
I mean, ArtStation is a great
Mhm.
place to see professional portfolios. I know a lot of art directors will go to ArtStation um, to find um, artists to work on their projects,
Mhm.
and so the professionals will put their very best, usually on ArtStation, and so that's a really good place to look.
Okay. But yeah, I do agree with the idea of Discords for getting feedback at other times. I think that that's a very good resource for this. It can be hard to find the right Discord. We're not going to have a good answer about what Discord to look at or try to be a part of because it will be a little bit more specific. One of the benefits and the negatives to Discord is that usually the communities that are in each of these are kind of niched down. So each Discord kind of is for a specific thing. Um, there's not going to be like a necessarily a one good catch all for concept art feedback. Oftentimes they'll have a little bit more of a focus. Some people will be for animation, video games, different stuff like that. But yeah, just see what you can become a part of over time, and go to Lightbox if you can, or attend digital events around Lightbox. Lightbox is kind of freaking awesome. Um, Use it as a resource. It's fun to get to hear from people, like digitally or in person, and it's good to just go to and see what's around you. It's good energy. Um, see other things here. Do you have anything you want to say about the piece you're working on?
I think I'm ready to move on to another one.
Okay.
This has definitely been a more sporadic, all over the place sketch.
Hmm. I think the things that are more sporadic sometimes they validate the things that come out more structured. That's why you got to do a bunch. Um, Armado in the chat says the reference packs. This reference pack is from Graphite Studio, and then says you're welcome. Um, I don't know. I don't know why the you're welcome doesn't look like anyone else was asking. So maybe someone did. Otherwise, it's ass pants. But yeah, no. Some of the references that were being used earlier, a couple of them were going to be ones that were from other studio or other reference packs people, and then some of these will be from a specific person like Graphite, who's awesome. And all of those are 20% off right now on Proko during the Black Friday sale. Josh, there's about 20 minutes left in the time that we've kind of blocked out for this whole thing. Is there any particular thing that you want to try to tackle that would be something that you teach in particular in your course? The Anatomy Survival Guide?
Yeah, I was hoping to do a couple more of these portrait gestures. This one, obviously, I ended up going a little too far.
You think you departed from the original? Or what is it you mean?
Oh, well, I was just intending to do more of a quick kind of gesture. But I started to do the rendering process, but I was kind of half committed, so it kind of ended up in no man's land.
Gotcha.
Yeah, maybe we could just focus more on construction.
Yeah, sounds great to me.
These next ones, and
I'm gonna relax on reading the chat a little bit. I want to get just Josh's process as he goes through the thing, so you guys do get a little bit more of the idea of how it is that Josh approaches something. So you guys can kind of judge a little bit more about whether Josh's courses or anything might be more of a fit for you. See if there's something in the way that he approaches something that might work for you. I will say, if I was given this particular image that you're about to tackle right now, I would be concerned with how interesting I could make the piece. So I'll be curious to see how you take this one.
yeah, he's got a subtle expression in there that's probably going to be a little more difficult to nail.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, again, start off with that cranial mass, and then just find that side plane and find that division line that will lead you to the brow line.
Fun Guns Spyro says, observe the master. Exactly. Here we are watching the artist work in their natural habitat.
Oh, I wouldn't say the natural habitat.
This is not your natural habitat? This is the only way I have ever seen you, Josh.
That's true. I think most of us artists are very introverted creatures.
That's fair.
Yeah, like drawing in public. You know, one thing I actually really enjoyed doing in public was throwing pots, doing pottery. That's something I could just like get in the zone and like ignore the fact that there was a bunch of people watching me.
I got you.
But
Yeah,
with drawing, that's still a challenge.
I do think that there is a certain element, especially if you were saying that you're doing pottery. Was it like on the wheel or more like a coil slab construction?
It was on the wheel.
Okay.
And
that one does make sense.
Yeah, it's a bit more process driven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in that situation, you kind of like you're made to ignore the people around you a little bit too, because it's a very active thing to shape, curve, bend everything, and make sure you're not gonna just thin something out too much and then just end up with a splat.
Have you thrown on the wheel yourself?
I have. It's not my favorite. I think I found myself liking more the idea of building something that can, jut in one direction. It didn't have to have any sort of element of uniformity,
Mm-hmm.
But that's also me as a person who hasn't done it too often, thinking that that is a limitation of it. I'm sure that someone out there would think that I was being a buffoon to think that there had to be any element of symmetry,
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that use the wheel but end up with these very organic, asymmetrical pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hear you. My cousin actually does ceramics too, and
Oh, interesting.
he does more the hand built and uses coils. He has a coil extruder, and he does some really beautiful. Kind of feels more, definitely more like modern,
Mm,
very shape driven art.
yeah. No, I think clay, it's a really interesting medium to get to work with, just in general, whether you're doing something more like sculpting or if it's making pottery or anything else like that. It's just really interesting to apply the thing where that you might otherwise apply to some other form of creativity to something like that. Russell Kwan asks, Proko, can you share the link for the recording of these sessions? Yes, you're on it right now. That's this. Afterwards, if you saw a post about this on any sort of social post, the link that took you to this, that will still work to take you to the VOD of it afterwards, the replay. But otherwise, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, this is the exact same place where it will be later. If you really liked it, feel free, give it a thumbs up, save it as a favorite, save it to watch later or something. If you think that you liked what you see here and you want to revisit it again later, this will be the exact place where it will live. So with this piece that kind of was a little bit more like limited in gesture and expression visually, what is it that you're choosing to kind of play up? Because I don't think that you're going to stick to this as a one-to-one. I imagine you'll push and pull some things.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, initially, I'm just making sure I'm getting all of the features established. This being more kind of front facing, definitely want to make sure everything is parallel to each other before I go in and add detail.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever a person who watched Star Trek by any chance?
Yes, I was more next generation.
Same. Uh, there's
Okay.
the area where you have like the eye line kind of laid in. It's got a little bit of this energy of Geordie LaForge's visor right now.
Oh, I guess I could add that.
And that's concept art, baby.
Trying to think how his visor is.
It's kind of like it's like just this one mass there, and then it's got these like vertical lines in there.
That's right. Then it doesn't it just have like these little vertical division lines?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it would recede.
Yeah, Star Trek Next Generation is a very good show.
Oh yeah, no, it was awesome that they could kind of do all these nonlinear stories and go over like all these different concepts that had nothing to do with each other. It was
Mm-hmm.
so open.
Yeah, which I think is unfortunately missing from a lot of new Star Trek. I think that the show that has most had that kind of through line was, strangely enough, Lower Decks, the animated series.
Oh really? Was that any
Yeah,
good?
I love Lower Decks. I think it's ending here at the end of, I believe, like the fifth season, which is a bummer. But the fact that we got 5 seasons at all is a miracle in this day and age for television, much less animated TV. But yeah, it's very good. Um, oh, Daniel in the chat asks, why these vertical divisions? Um, I don't know if you mean for like the original lay-in of the face or for Geordie LaForge's visor. But yeah, feel free to take that in either direction you want, Josh.
Well, this vertical line here is part of the T of the face, just to align all the features. But yeah, these are. This is how his visor actually looks. It's got these little. If I'm remembering. It's funny because I go back and forth between seeing him as Geordie LaForge and then just harkening back to reading Rainbow.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to
Butterflies.
separate those two.
Absolutely. Yeah, because he was such a positive educational force, or like a force for the idea of education, even in Star Trek. So it's really interesting. Oh yeah. Patrick in here says this is the LaForge method.
It is.
This is establishing your verticals.
Yeah, I've patented this approach. So
I guess so. Josh, we're in the last 9 minutes of this stream. I want to ask you a question about your course. Is that okay with you?
go for it.
All right. So, why did you need to make a course? What's different about your approach versus other people's that you think that there was a hole that you were filling?
I feel like my approach is definitely more linear and more gestural. And yeah, I definitely go over more of a superficial knowledge of anatomy, focusing just more on the main shapes, definitely going from simple to specific, but it's not a huge deep dive, but it kind of helps you get that base knowledge of anatomy and gesture. That's kind of more of the focus. Not so much going into like fully rendered, finished figure drawings, but the type of gesture and construction that would help you more with concept art
Hmm.
and I guess illustration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like the for anyone who hasn't gotten to watch any of the videos on Josh's channel or the other live streams that we've done with him before. I very much agree with this one. I think that you guys will see that where it's the idea of anatomy with some landmarks and everything, the key things that you do need to be able to draw something with realistic anatomy that feels like it has shape, form, turn to everything that informs your shading. But it's not like you really like dig in and it's like you need to know the name of this tendon, this muscle, or anything like that. Those things are there, but it doesn't have to be some overt knowledge of those things. And I appreciate that as a person who doesn't want to learn all those names.
Well, I mean, the most important thing, as we all know, it has this brush in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that is the key.
Yeah, very much so. If you guys do like the things that you're seeing here, you like the idea of being able to draw an image from a reference for the purpose of study, and then maybe pivot and turn it into something else that you want, in the way that a concept artist does, or a person who just saw a Star Trek thing and then changed it into a Star Trek thing. Josh's courses are 20% off right now on the website, or Josh's course is 20% off on the website right now at the link that's on screen in the description below. You can also get other things like the reference images that you see here, some other reference packs that are a little bit more stylized, that are some like sci-fi, some that are fantasy, and tons of images also. It's not something that has to be, you buy like 35 images or 100 images. There are some reference packs that have like well approaching 1,000, if not more, because I haven't looked through all of them. There's too many to look at. If you guys are interested, save some money if you're going to learn. You don't need to spend a bunch of money to go to art school. We want you to be able to learn for either for free by watching these videos here on the channel, or with a Black Friday sale like this one that's just running until the end of the month. Let me make sure that there's not any other questions in here at the end of this. No, I think it's good. There's some other questions here, but I think that they're probably things that we would take longer to actually answer than the time that we've got left here. Josh, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on YouTube, just Josh Hunter Black on YouTube, Instagram, and also on Twitter.
What's the name over there on Twitter?
Josh Hunter Black.
On Twitter, it is not, Josh.
Oh, it's not.
No, no,
Oh,
you have that name Sakamolo over there.
oh, yeah, it's Takomalo. I am so sorry.
Oh, no,
I
no, you're
gotta
good.
change it on
One
there.
one of these days, I'll get you to change it.
I know I need to work on the branding a little bit there.
uh, if you guys are interested to find any more Proko things, you can find us at Proko TV, the same name as this channel here, across pretty much all social media right now. Um, we post interesting educational videos. We'll talk about more things when we have live streams like this one, or the ones that are upcoming here on Black Friday, where we'll have a whole 24-hour live stream, not like our other live streams that we have running over on Twitch. We'll actually have a premium one that will have a bunch of lessons that you would otherwise have to be in the courses for to see. There's going to be a lot of good stuff in there, not things that we've had in those live streams in the past couple years. It's going to be all new stuff. I hope you guys will enjoy it. If you want to find me, you can find me as Peppermint Gentleman across pretty much all social media. It's been great to get to talk to you guys a little bit here in the chat and to get to hang out with Josh. Josh, thank you for being here.
Oh, of course, it's been my pleasure. It's always a good time.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to wave to the audience and say goodbye, and then hope that John cuts this stream in a way that fits with the timing of us sitting here waving. Have a good one.